Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everybody Matters, our live virtual chat for family and friends. So, we're here today to be in conversation with you all and to be of support for you, to help you if you have a friend or a loved one who is struggling with an eating disorder or disordered eating or body dissatisfaction. This is an opportunity for you all to tune in and get any support that you might need. And what we like to do is start off with a topic or a theme that can help us to bring more insight, hopefully for you all, into your loved one who's struggling with this illness. So I'm Jill Catherine. I'm the host of your call. And if you feel comfortable when you join, just let us know that you're here on the chat function. That's the best way that we can engage. So this is a live feed, and so I'm the only one being seen. And so your chat will help us to have our conversation today. Just a little bit of business. So this is a live stream. So there's about a minute delay. So from when I speak until you hear. So if you notice a pause and I'm not filling the time, I'm waiting for your response. So our Everybody Matters Family and Friends Edition is a call we do once a month. And it's on the second Wednesday of every month. Normally, that's our traditional schedule. And it's our time where we can, like I said, just be a space of support for you, and to also take an opportunity to give you all a broader picture and some insight into this difficult disease and illness. And it is a difficult one. You know, 20 years ago, I struggled with an eating disorder when I was in college. And I worked with Carolyn and the staff at the nutrition clinic as part of my treatment, and as well as had a treatment team of a therapist and a medical doctor, and had support. And it was a very difficult time of my life, and a very painful time of my life, and scary time of my life for myself and for my family and friends. And I feel really blessed and lucky to have survived the brain disease of the eating disorder, the mental illness of it, and the physical just the physicality of it, what it does to your body, that I was able to survive that. And then I feel really thankful now that I've been able to thrive through the rethinking of my mind and how I think about my body now, and how I think about myself and my purpose and my place in this world. And so that recovery from the eating disorder really has been able to move me through a place that has given me a real sense of confidence of myself that doesn't come from measurements outside of me, but from within me, and a sense of purpose and peace. And so I say all that just to give you a little framework of who I am and my own journey through that. And so, for the last 13, 14 years, I've been really engaged in giving back to communities of those and people who struggle with these body challenges, the body image and the eating disorder recovery process, because I do believe that as we heal ourselves and move through that, we're able to help others do that. And it's part of our duty is to continue to be of support to those on this journey, because we need people who have been through it and who have found a way to be at peace in it, and now who are thriving in their lives. So it's been about 14 years I've been doing work of mentoring, of doing education in this field. And so that brings me to this call today is I still continue to do this work 20 years later of my journey. Um, so what I want us to just, talk a little bit about today, and when you join, feel free to let us know if you come in at any point, is, it's January, right? And so we've just come through the holidays, which can be a really difficult time for your loved one who's struggling with this, because the holidays tend to be a time where we feel a lot of emotion, whether it's um, joy and peace and love, or it could be sadness and grief. And it's just that time of year where things slow down, and families of all different ways can come together in relationships, and that just can there's a lot of feeling there when we can slow down and just be together. And that can in all that feeling, those of us who struggle with this brain disease of the eating disorder, what really is happening at a deeper level within us is this emotional struggle, is a real struggle to understand what we're feeling, how we're feeling, and feeling like we have a voice in that feeling. There's for many different reasons. There are many different reasons why those of us who have struggled with this disease do, but there tends to be a lot of similarity to those of us. And the sensitivity of the emotional nature tends to be pretty common among us who struggled with this. Very sensitive and emotional, and really understanding our emotions and how they move through our body, and how they make us, respond. It takes a lot of maturity and intelligence in a way of really understanding why we're feeling why we're feeling. And it's a journey to learn that for us. And um, you know oftentimes, those of us who struggle with this don't really have our voice with our feelings. We're trying to find the voice with our feelings. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. It could be dynamics of the family. I know my parents who were very supportive and loving and present parents, have struggled finding their own voice with their emotions, who, when you're feeling a certain way, you just kind of push through it and you go in a certain direction. And that way to process feelings doesn't work for everybody, right? And so this really trying to understand what is happening for us emotionally is at the root underneath the eating disorder, is a really important thing to be mindful of. And I say that as we go into now that we're into the new year, we've made it through the holidays, your loved one who's struggling with this is coming out of that time where there was probably a lot of emotion going on. So this is a really critical, stage for them. And so because of that, what I want us to think about today is how what so often happens with coming out of the new year is this craze to set resolutions, right? And particularly around our bodies. It is not uncommon for people to come into this year and want to lose weight and want to start exercising, and it all becomes very body image focused. Even though we say, oh, well, it's really because I want to be healthier, we sort of mask it under that. And beautiful, what a beautiful thing if we're wanting, health for ourselves because we want to, be alive and enjoy life and be able to be present and around for the people we love and agile and mobile, but we tend to mask health, that wanting health, really saying, I want my body to look a certain way and be a certain weight and be a certain size. And a lot of times that is about it, fitting this this ideal that we are taught to believe looks a certain way. There's no coincidence that millions of people, 30 million people who struggle with eating disorders in this world, who struggle with eating disorders of some level, disordered eating, body dissatisfaction, 30 million people that we know about who are clinically being diagnosed with this disease. It's no coincidence that there's also huge marketing and a culture about the dieting in our culture, about the diet industry, and this obsessions with diets and diets and diets and diets and diets. Every year there's a new diet. Every year there's a new fad. Every year, there's always this resolution, to lose weight, to start exercising. And, there's the coincidence. It's not a coincidence, is what I'm saying, is that it's a very targeted time of year to prey on people's vulnerabilities. And that's what marketing and advertising is. That's not a judgment. That's just the function of advertising, is to effectively communicate the selling of your product, of the selling of something. And an effective way to do that is through the emotional capacity. And so that's what that industry is. And it's just what it is. That's not a bad or right or wrong thing. That's just a function. And so we have been, taught to believe that health and fitness and fit bodies and healthy bodies are to look a certain way. And in a lot of cases, those health and fit bodies are to weigh a certain weight. Our doctors weigh us, there's BMI scales and things like that. What has, unfortunately, there's such tremendous flaws and harm that can be done when we believe this to be true. Those BMI, those height and weight charts, are creation from back in the early 20th century, when they were doing a census across the United States, and with a population that was majority Caucasian, and creating measurements. No indication of a person's body mass or muscle mass, bone density, ethnicity, their origin, none of those things, their ancestry of what those bodies are, none. And so we have these height and weight charts that then are supposed to determine the fitness and the health of our bodies. And that's a very dangerous thing when we don't take into consideration a number of other measurements internally that determine our fitness levels and the health of our bodies, beyond the weight and a weight chart that was created decades ago that has, in a very irrelevant way. Even myself, someone who's very fit, who is an athlete and a dancer and lives a very balanced and well life, was in the doctor's a few months ago and was weighed, and in red letters it said, this person is overweight because of wherever I fell into the height and weight chart. And that meaning, if I'm overweight, then according to that height and weight chart, that means I'm not fit or I'm not healthy. These are all the inferences that come from that, when I'm very fit, very healthy by every other standard. And so there's a danger, if I would have believed that my health and my strength and fitness capacity of my body was based on whatever that number was in a height and weight chart, that is saying that I'm, overweight, is not an indication of what health is. And so that's something to really be aware of, how to be informed by, number one, and how dangerous that number can be if it penetrates the psyche of someone like your loved one or someone like yourself, even, that believes that is indication of your health, your fitness, and for many women and men, their beauty, right? And so then the other component of that is, so then if you're overweight, you must need to lose weight, right? So, and then what we understand that to be is these diets. So it's this really difficult, vicious cycle if we're believing that the number on a scale is a true indication of our health and how we're then supposed to nourish our bodies. And so I say all this because it is not uncommon for many people in our culture to go on these diets and New Year's resolutions to lose weight and to, to diet. And it's not that I don't, I want to get clear. It's not that I'm encouraging people to take care of their bodies in a way that is right for their body. And that, but each person's weight is a very unique thing. It can't be whatever's a right weight for a body is not the right weight for everybody in that size, in that shape, in that frame when you don't. So it's really important to have a whole picture of that for yourself and as you're supporting your loved one. And because what we're coming to is that if you have a loved one in your life who is struggling with this disease, even though the truth of this disease isn't about the body, that's a component of it. And so how you are in your body and how you are entering the new year and your actions and your behaviors play a role in their journey as well. And what I mean by that, if it's common for you to start your new year with a diet craze, with restricting foods, with taking foods out, and obsessing about your numbers and obsessing about your body not looking a certain way, can negatively influence your loved one. Because what they're trying to do and what they have to do in order to get well within themselves, in their soul, and then in their body and in their mind, is they have to create a completely new consciousness about their body. Meaning they have to completely start to understand their body as something that's much more than just what it looks like. Because there's something deeper tugging at them in their soul. Like I said, this emotional thing, call that's really happening in them inside their body. But right now, if in the disease, you sort of live on the surface. You're living on the surface. You're in the anxiety. You're in the disease, and your brain is just creating. Your nervous system is out of whack. Your body is out of whack, and so you're obsessing on sort of the surface level of your body, and that could be a lot of times, the image of it, what it looks like, the weight of it, all that sort of number stuff. But the true healing for us is to go deeper underneath the surface and really start to get in touch with our fear, our shame, our lack of worthiness, our lack of self-love, our anger. That's what's really underneath that. And once we go underneath the surface, we realize pretty quickly that we've been fed a lot of stuff about our bodies that has to look a certain way and be a certain way. And we have to learn that that's been a big scam. And so that's a whole process for us to go through, is to really make peace with, you know, the physical bodies that we have. And so, you know, on this journey of your loved one, if you are in their space and supporting them and wanting to be there and supportive them, if you are then going on the next new diet and thinking that your worth and that your beauty is based on the weight of your body, and that once you weigh a certain way you're beautiful or you feel beautiful, you know, that's the mixed messaging. That's a very mixed message to your loved one. And so many people, you know, for those of us who struggle with this, we don't intentionally bring our family and friends, we don't intentionally bring you all into the journey to have to heal your own body stuff. But it's kind of, you unintentionally get brought into part of it. And it's up to you as to how far you want to go with that. If you don't want to go into your own body stuff and take a look at your own behaviors and beliefs about your body and how you define health and beauty, and if you're stuck that it has to look a certain way, you know, your own belief system, that you don't have to. That's up to you. But what we want to encourage you to know is that your loved one has to go deeper, because we're self-destructing. And we don't want to self-destruct. We don't want to end our lives. We don't want to be living in this disease. We want to feel better. And to feel better, we have to go there. We're going to have to go into the deeper emotional place. We're going to have to go into the deeper thinking about, why do I believe, and why have I allowed myself to believe that my beauty and my health and my worth is based on what my body looks like. Because there are people born into all different type of bodies. Bodies that are physically abled, bodies that aren't able, bodies that have some ability, less ability, all different types of bodies. And when we really break it down, these bodies, what they're here to do is be the instrument for us to just be in this world. That's it. But when we are believing all these other things about who we are is based on our bodies, can be a very dangerous and a slippery slope. And so, like I said, that this journey is what we have to go through, but you're on it whether you like it or not, if you're wanting to support your loved one. And it's up to you where you want to go into your own journey of it, but we want to ask you and invite you and just encourage you to know that how you are talking about your body, how you're thinking about your own body, and how you're treating it is modeling and for your loved one. And you may intentionally, you may unintentionally not try to want to be harmful. But how you're bringing in the new year and how you're approaching this diet resolution phase and craze can make a real difference. And so what we encourage is, not that we don't set resolutions, that can be a beautiful time of year to set intentions and say, hey, in what ways, how do I intend? What are my intentions for the new year? From an inner values place. How do I intend to live my life, to take care of myself? How do I intend to be in relationships to others? How do I intend to be in relationship to our family and friends? So it's a wonderful time to set intentions about who we are and how we want to be. because your loved one, that's really, at this deep emotional turmoil they have, is this real questing and yearning to know who they are and to be comfortable with who they are and how to be who they are in the body that they have, and that that's okay, that that's completely enough, that that is okay. That what is okay is who they are in their body, not their body is okay for who they are. And so that setting of intentions as resolutions of who we are and how do we want to be and what's our hopes for the year, that come from a place of really aligning with who we are, is at the source of your loved one's suffering right now. And that is such a dark place for them, is that we're on the surface with the anxiety, the fear, and then in the disease, the brain, then unfortunately it gets into the brain disease of the eating disorder. So what happens if our loved one can stay with a treatment team of a good nutritionist and a therapist and a medical doctor, is that the body can heal nutritionally, so then the brain can heal through the nutrition, and then the person can really get to the deeper emotional stuff. And that's where it's the process of healing and of recovery. So it's never to be understated that how you are thinking and feeling and acting in your body, your embodiment, is a huge opportunity for your loved one. If you start to ask yourself these deeper questions, you can start to be in conversation with your loved one too. You can start to do this process together. My dear colleague Mary Ellen Clausen, who's the founder of Ophelia's Place, the organization I'm a spokesperson for, who works with the Upstate New York Eating Disorder Service. And I feel comfortable sharing this about her because she has shared it publicly. Both of her daughters struggled with eating disorders. And when her second daughter, youngest, was in recovery, it wasn't until she was in treatment, I think she was in about 6 months, and her first daughter had been in treatment, but it wasn't until her second daughter had been in a long-term treatment facility that Mary Ellen, who was immediately as supportive as she could be, as soon as they figured out what the girls were struggling with, that it was an eating disorder, they were involved. They were trying to support their daughters as much as possible, get them the best care. But she says this until when her second daughter was in treatment, that she was, and this was, I think, 3 years into the process of both of her daughters, she realized she was still on a diet, that she was still, as herself, on a diet, but it was so normal to her and her family to be on a diet. And it's so normal in so many of our families, is this diet culture that, that is saying, eat but starve. Here's food when you're emotionally feeling a certain way. Take away food when you're emotionally a certain way. That, hey, you look beautiful. Did you lose weight? That our body is all of indication, this whole diet culture. We're so used to it. We don't even think so much about it. My family was like that too. I grew up in a diet culture where people were on yo-yo dieting, and, they would, it was a constant way of life, as opposed to, gosh, there's, food is food. And, food, is things with substances that don't, live in a freezer for 10 years or stay in the shelf for 20 years. Food that has, fruits and vegetables and meats and grains and beans and just source things that have nutrition in them. And that it's, imagine us being able to live just eating food that's nourishing for our bodies, that we actually starts to taste good, because we're no longer just eating fake food, not food, that has all these chemicals and nutrients in it that make us crave all these different things. So, that whole diet culture is also a culture that is confused about food and how to feed our own bodies, because we're so used to depriving and starving and binging. And, so I share that about Mary Ellen and my family as I'm talking to you all, because that was a big moment, I know, for her to say, whoa, I didn't even realize I was always on a diet. And what does that mean? Why am I always on a diet? Why am I so confused about how to care for my body, how to eat? What is all connected to that? And so that started to, unfold her journey and really taking a look at her own relationship to food and body and worth and weight and family and all that kind of stuff. So it's not about right or wrong. It's not about, I feel like so many times our loved ones, so many times parents can feel blamed for things. And, that's never my intention. It's never our intention in talking about this. It's just to show that there's a big picture and that we're all influencers here. And no one is right or wrong and trying to influence in bad ways or good ways. It is what it is. And so as Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better, right? And so as soon as Mary Ellen, as an example, realized, whoa, gosh, we still do diets. As soon as she realized it, she did better. She changed that culture within herself. And that's a choice that you all can make if that's part of your journey or in your family. But it's something that, as we are here to be a resource to you and try to encourage you all in ways that can support your loved one, that's something to really be mindful of, is what is in your family unit or in your friend unit that is around this diet culture, and how we can shift that from one of I'm never enough, I need to diet, to I am always enough, so I need to care for myself. Now, let me rephrase, I am always enough, so I rejoice in caring myself. I love to care for myself. How do I love to care for myself? I love to nourish myself, feed myself good things that make me have energy, that make me feel strong, that make my brain feel clear, that make me feel balanced and not cravings, and just make me feel good, because I love myself. So I want to take time to listen to what's going on for me emotionally. I love myself. I want to move my body so I can feel my heart, so I can feel my breath, so I can keep myself, so I can express myself, so I can feel alive, so I can feel myself in my body. I want to move this body. So this is what can happen when we shift from I'm not enough, but I'm enough today, is how we even go about caring for ourselves. It creates a well-being. And if you're able to do that in your family unit, or for your friend, for yourself, and then have your loved one, invite them into that process too, into how you're loving for yourself and caring for yourself and setting your intentions and resolutions for the new year that are about being more true to who you are and living more truly and authentically to who you are. That's the kind of support that they could use. That's the mentoring they need, the coaching they need. But that mentoring, or just by living that, is can have such an impact on your loved one, because right now they don't know that way. They don't know how to be at peace and find peace with who they are in their bodies and in this world, and understand how to nourish their bodies in a way that isn't coming from a surface level of diet and weight and, images in a magazine. So there's tremendous value in that. And wherever you are able to go on that journey, is enough. But just a willingness and an openness can make a big difference. And if all you can do is just be mindful of not to communicate and display dieting craze behaviors, then that's enough too. So wherever you are today is where we hope you can find a way to be at peace and do whatever shift you can around that diet thinking, so you're providing a relationship with your loved one that can encourage their recovery as opposed to trigger them back into negative and self-harm behaviors and thinking. So we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in February. Have a wonderful rest of the month.